Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the channel. I am your host, Money Mike, and today we are going to be talking about the Women's Royal Rumble. I will have a separate video on the men's video later this week, along with my predictions for the 2023 Royal Rumble, who I think is going to win. But I want to talk today about the Women's Royal Rumble, the controversy with Monday Night Raw, and Raw 30 with Bayley and Becky getting their match cut, which was this big hype steel cage match that never took place, and the lack of build towards the Women's Royal Rumble and the lack of representation of the women who helped with Monday Night Raw over the years, as there's this big controversy. And so before we get into all of that, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, because if you are feeling oozy and you like wrestling, you want to hit that subscribe button, as we are on the road to WrestleMania and I will have plenty of content coming up. Plus, we got AEW Revolution coming up, MJF, Daniel Bryan. I cover more than just WWE. I talk AEW. So if you are a pro wrestling fan and you are feeling oozy, hit that like and subscribe button today. Alright, so the big controversy, let's go over that first, because I feel like there's a giant overreaction. Overreaction, right reaction? I mean, I feel like it's an overreaction. I mean, there's a hashtag going around saying WWE women deserve better. Um, I mean, I don't know if we needed a hashtag. I think it's a little bit of an overreaction to what happened. I mean, listen, look, segments run long. We get that. We always hear about matches getting cut, segments being cut short. And so it happens in wrestling. And in this case, are we really going to sit here and be like, well, the Bloodline segment ran too long? I mean, it's your most over storyline in the last 3 years. Are we really going to sit here and say that, and sit here and be mad at Roman? How dare Roman Reigns take away Bayley and Becky steel cage match? No, we're not going to be mad at Roman and the Bloodline. Did you not see that reaction to that segment? I mean, there's a reason it kicked off Raw. I mean, you could have done without Hulk Hogan coming out there. That would have saved you 2 or 3 minutes right there. But I mean, yeah, the Bloodline segment ran wrong, and yeah, it's kind of funny in the sense that we just had an episode of Young Rock talking about how he would go overtime and he would get scolded by Pat Patterson and Vince McMahon. 20 minutes means 20 minutes. And, him and Triple H's ladder match of SummerSlam 98 went too long. You know, I mean, I guess we have to look forward to, I guess that's what we have to look forward to in 10, 15 years, when young Roman debuts on NBC, as we follow the life of Roman Reigns as he works his way up to the head of the table in his family in young Roman. And there will be that time that Triple H and Shawn Michaels scolded Roman Reigns for going over and taking away Bayley and Becky's steel cage match. You don't want to miss it. Young Roman, 15, 20 years from now on NBC. Now let's be real. I was thoroughly entertained by the show, and it was okay. I thought, you know what? Fine. It was a good show for what it was. Wasn't a great show. But was there some stuff that didn't need to be there, that could have been shaved off the show to make sure that steel cage match still happened? Yeah, absolutely. Did we need, okay, keep the DX segment, fine, whatever. But did we really need the whole setup with Imperium, who is a SmackDown team, randomly showing up on Raw? That didn't make any sense to me. Just like Charlotte Flair, like she showed up on Raw and did her segment, and then Sonya Deville came out and it was like, wait, we've seen this on SmackDown. Why is this bleeding over to Raw? And then Sonya and Bianca had a match. You could have took that away, and I think Christian Miracle, I think he had like a short on YouTube he posted saying that whole entire thing was Charlotte's promo. The whole thing with Sonya Bianca was like 20 minutes or something. And it was like, you know what? That right there would have been your steel cage match. So you could have done away without that segment easily. But again, I go back again, people talk about the lack of representation of women. And I go and I look at this and I go, well, what about the lack of build up for the women's Royal Rumble? Because you had Charlotte, you had Bianca in the same segment, in the same ring. Both of them are previous women's Royal Rumble winners. That right there, you should have used time to build up that women's Royal Rumble. Have some competitors come out and, say they're going to challenge one of them, or, talk about, have Charlotte and Bianca talk about how the women's Royal Rumble and winning it changed their careers. And, something that builds it up. Like and I've heard, people said, well, the reason they didn't have Trish or Lita or, Victoria or whoever, whoever else that wasn't there that people wanted to see, the reason was because there are going to be surprises in the Rumble. Well, they've been surprises in the Rumble before. We've seen surprises in the Rumble before. We've seen them as surprises in the Rumble before. So to me, it's kind of like, at what point do they not be surprises? Because we've seen it every year, right? I'm not saying it's happened every year, but it's just that it feels that way in the sense of, if you're going to hide them, it's not, it doesn't make sense to me. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like, to me, you could have hyped it up and maybe brought out Trish, brought out Lita, face to face with Bianca and Charlotte and say, listen, we're going to enter the Women's Royal Rumble. Get us excited for this match. There hasn't been that much build. And like I said, I think it goes toe and toe with the whole lack of women representation in general on Raw with Raw 30, where it was like a lot of pointless segments that there was some, or not, I don't want to say a lot, but there was a couple of segments like Bray Wyatt, LA Knight. They're feuding on SmackDown. Why are we having their promo thing on Raw? Like, it felt to me, WWE booked this anniversary show, and then it was kind of like, oh, wait, this is the go home show for our pay per view, our premium live event. So we have to kind of build towards that at the same time. So, let's have The Undertaker interrupt LA Knight, and then let's have Bray Wyatt come out. Like, because, hey, they're having a pitch black match. Sponsored by Mountain Dew for some whatever reason. I don't know. But it was just so jumbled of, okay, we're celebrating the past, the 30 years of Raw, but then we also have the fact that this is our go home show. So it's like you're kind of just jumbling everything together, because even Bianca, after her match with Sonya Deville, was like, oh, wait, Alexa, I haven't forgotten about you. And it was like, It was just so jumbled. Like I don't mind these reunion legend shows, whatever WWE wants to do. They're fine. They're great. But like to me, they shouldn't be the timing of the show where it was like the go home show for the Royal Rumble. Yeah, it probably jumbles a whole lot of stuff because you're trying to promote a premium live event. Same time, you're trying to sell legends to people, saying, "Hey, come watch because we're gonna have all these legends on the show." So I think WWE needs to just try to separate the two, do a legend show, a reunion anniversary show, like in the beginning of the month, to where it doesn't really interfere with the storyline build of your next premium live event. And this is the Royal Rumble, so this is what kickstarts the road to WrestleMania. So having this be the go home show, it doesn't really make any sense. It didn't make any sense to me for why this was the go home show, or why Raw 30 was the go home show for the Royal Rumble paper premium live event. But it was just one of those things to me where it was like, you know what, they could have easily have fit in that cage match with Bayley and Becky. And I'm sure as performers, Bayley and Becky were upset that their match were cut. And, maybe there's part of me that's like, oh, well, Charlotte was out there. She got a segment. So that kind of shows that WWE, once again, will put Charlotte over everybody else in the women's division. But I don't want, but that's a whole different topic of discussion. But it's one of those things where I'm sure Bayley and Becky as performers were upset that their match could not happen. So I hope that WWE does rectify this by giving them a full 30 minutes main event at the end of Raw, you know, and say go out there and go out there and put on a match. Put on a classic, go out there and just do the match you were supposed to have at Raw 30 and knock it out of the park. And that match would have been great. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And Bayley, she's playing it off on social media, like saying that we're mad because the steel cage match didn't happen. And she's like, oh, ha, playing the heel up, saying, ha ha, I don't care that you're mad, blah blah. Again, I give Bayley being a good sport, that she's trying to play this up in character, but I gotta believe that Bayley and Becky, as performers, I think they really wanted to have that match, and I know fans wanted to see it, and it just sucks that we did not get to see it. And like I said, just give them 30 minutes on an episode of Raw after the Rumble and let them tear down the house. Just, let them just have their match. But it's just, to me, one of those things where WWE was trying to do too much in one show. So is it a little bit? I mean, I I want to say it's a little bit of an overreaction when we're sitting there tweeting out WWE women deserve better. Like, I don't know if y'all noticed this or not, but Bayley and Becky are two stars in that women's division that we should be saying, wait a minute, why aren't these two feuding for a title? Right? The fact that these two have an upper card, non-title women's feud, like, that's great. That means there's more than one women's storyline going on at once. Usually we get just the championship storyline, and then the rest of the women are just scattered among the card, fighting whoever until the next challenger has to step up and face the champion after the next premium live event. So I applaud WWE. So I don't necessarily agree with the hashtag WWE women deserve better. I think they've got it. I think there's just a lot of things booking wise that Triple H has to get down and figure out, like, how do we fix this? Because, I mean, in NXT, it was great. You know, that was the highlight of the show in NXT was the women's division. So Triple H has to get back to that. And so it's going to take time, and I think, you know, things will get better. But again, you know, I mean, it was a case of WWE trying to do too much. You have Raw 30, okay, great, 30 years of Raw. But then you also got to promote the Royal Rumble, and it was just doing too much. And I think WWE should have just done the Raw Celebration show at another time or at the beginning of the month, instead of making your go home show for the Royal Rumble. So speaking of the Royal Rumble, let's talk about the Women's Royal Rumble. So let's pop up that graphic there that I have. So this is a screenshot that WWE has been promoting to use to promote the Women's Royal Rumble. So as you can see, Rhea Ripley, front and center. You know, they're kind of being obvious who's going to win the Women's Royal Rumble, right? Just like with these vignettes with Cody Rhodes, they're being obvious who's winning the Men's Royal Rumble. But I'll go over that in another video later this week. But again, 30 participants, but yet there's only 6 or 7 in this picture right here. And we know that the WWE Women's Division is talented. It's deep. It's deep enough of a roster. You could have qualifying matches. I mean, we saw Ricochet and Top Dollar have a qualifying match. So why, unless I've missed something over these last few weeks, I don't think the women have had a Rumble qualifying match. It just goes back to, you know, everything. I think this what happened on Raw 30, and then the lack of build towards the Women's Royal Rumble match itself, the lack of participants being announced. I think, and then Bayley and Becky getting their steel cage match cut. It all just came together into this big mess that WWE created, and you know, I think it'll be better. You know, I think we're reacting the right way. I think we're reacting the right way, but I don't think we need a hashtag that says WWE women deserve better. I think that's a little bit too much, because I think it's just one of those things of WWE's more at fault. It's not really the women, but you know, maybe it's because Stephanie's gone. You know, there's been reports that since Stephanie's been gone, morale has been down. So maybe now Stephanie's not there, and she was the women's division's biggest supporter. You know, now she's not there, and now it's kind of going to the wayside. And that was the biggest thing we as fans have said about AEW was they need to focus more on their women's division, and I think AEW is now starting to do that. And now WWE is kind of going the opposite way where AEW was. And again, the Women's Royal Rumble, there's like zero build for this. Like, I don't understand this is supposed to be how we kickstart the WrestleMania, but you're not giving the Women's Royal Rumble as much attention, build. Something's got to be fixed, because we can't have this for next year and the year after that and so forth. So I think from a booking standpoint, I think Triple H and, you know, the writers, they need to figure out, all right, if we have 2 Rumbles, we need to give them both same amount of build, same treatment, you know, both get qualifying matches, whatever the case may be. just do some, but they need to do more to build up to build more, and the lack of build for this women's Royal Rumble just disappoints me. I mean, yeah, even if it's obvious that Rhea Ripley is going to win, like at least do more to build to at least give us the possibility, that idea in our brain that somebody else might win that Rumble. Maybe Liv Morgan gets another opportunity. Maybe she wins. Maybe they want to push Raquel Gonzalez. Maybe she wins the Women's Royal Rumble. Maybe they want to push her as the next Bianca, next young rising star that they want to use the Women's Royal Rumble to build up. Like to me, it's just so disappointing because the Women's Royal Rumble match is just as hyped up, and fans are just generally excited for it because now they kind of get to see who is going to be that next person in line to face the champion at WrestleMania. And I think for as talented and deep as their women's roster is, I think WWE has blown a huge opportunity here to really build that women's division up. And hopefully after the Royal Rumble, maybe that can be the case here and they can start kind of giving them more attention again. But let me know in the comments below, what do you think? Was this a case of WWE doing too much? Was it just too much for one show? Are we right? Are the fans right to start a hashtag saying WWE women deserve better? Comment below. Let me know how you guys feel about this, and again, I just think it was just a case of WWE trying to do too many things at once. Hey, we have a Legends show. We have to celebrate 30 years of Raw, but then we also got to promote the Royal Rumble, and trying to do both, it just jumbled up the booking. For what I thought was generally a good show, it was a good show, but it just trying to combine the two, and it just didn't really work. So hopefully the Women's Royal Rumble will make up for it. We'll have a good Rumble. And again, comment below what you think. And I'll be back to talk about the Men's Royal Rumble, and I will have my Royal Rumble predictions Friday or Saturday on this channel. And as I said, the Men's Rumble is a little bit more complicated. And after the trials of Sami Zayn, I believe there's only one person who should win the Royal Rumble. And I'll let you know later this week.